Hello everyone and welcome to my channel if you are new. If you're not new, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marina and I am so sorry for the lack of an update. Sorry, my dog almost knocked down my water bottle. That would have been a very chaotic start to this video. I have been gone for like the last few weeks. Sorry about that. I'm getting over a really bad head cold, and you could probably still somewhat tell from my voice. I still don't know why this cough won't go away. It's really annoying me at this point. But if you like hear a little cough or sniffle, ignore that. I swear I'm fine enough to film now, but like I'm gonna have to probably edit out a lot of the coughing interruptions throughout this video. But I really do want to film because I had this idea to film this type of video when I was just like going over what I really wanted to prioritize reading this year, and I realized what I wanted to read were a lot of books I've already read, and I just thought I should make a sit down video and tell you guys where my head is at in terms of like my rereads of the year. And a lot of these books you might know that I want to reread because I mentioned a few of them in my previous videos, but I made a list. We're just going to talk about a few of the books that I would like to reread this year. I'm also going to be giving my explanations as to why I want to reread them. They're not just random picks, they're like specific as to why I would like to reread them. So if you're interested, continue on with the video, and bless you. Oh no, are you getting sick too, buddy? Okay, so the first book I want to reread is not a surprise to anyone. The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I have been saying that I need to reread this book for about like a year, maybe longer, because I have had the sequel on my shelves for about 2 years, 3. I read The Poppy War for the first time a few years back when I was studying abroad, and I really loved it, but it emotionally like really messed me up. And I've been saying for years, when I'm emotionally and mentally in the right headspace, I will continue the series, and I think I'm finally at that point in my life where I can. However, now that I am at that point, I realize I don't remember much from the first book. I remember like really big plot points and plot twists, specifically towards the end, but everything in the middle of the book, it's kind of dwindled over the past few years since I've read it. So I really do want to continue on the series, but in order to do that, I have to reread this first book. And I feel like this is going to be a fun time. Maybe, I don't know if fun is the right word. I really do look at this book fondly, especially because it was my first R.F. Kuang book, and I can confidently say this, out of all the books that I've read from her so far in my journey of reading R.F. Kuang, I do think this is still her best work to date, which is crazy because it was like her first ever book, I believe. Nothing else has held up like The Poppy War, obviously, if it's like done this much damage to me that it's taken me this long to reread it. My friend is also reading this for the first time right now, and she's sending me text about her experience reading it, and it's making me really just want to dive back into this world again. So yeah, I think I will be reading this sometime soon. I don't want to like put that out in the universe though, in case that's just not true. Because knowing me, I say things and then I don't always follow through. But I am serious about rereading this book sometime this year. I don't know how soon it will be, but because my friend is like spamming my phone daily about this book, it is making me want to pick it up like really soon. So we'll see. All right, the next book is one that you guys know is one of my favorites of all time. So I feel like, again, it shouldn't be a surprise that I would like to reread it. Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Song of Achilles. We've had such a journey together. You guys probably don't know this, but this is the book that made me want to start making book videos. It was between this and Children of Blood and Bone that made me really just want to like sit down and talk about what I'm reading, and it's held an impact on my life ever since, I guess. Like whenever I think of like one of my favorite books of all time, I think of this. Whenever I think of like one of the best love stories I've ever read, I think of Achilles and Patroclus. It's one of those books that has like been in my mind ever since I read it for the first and only time, like 4 years ago at this point. It would be fun, like actually fun, to reread this book. Though this one did also send me into an emotional spiral. Something about like the way Madeline Miller writes and her pen and her usage of the English language, it's crazy to me. It's so crazy to me that she's only put out like 2 books. I need more, and until she gives me more, I do not mind rereading her books that I've already read. So yeah, I think I really do want to reread Song of Achilles. I also just want to see if it holds up as one of my favorite books still, because like I said, I haven't touched it since the first time I read it a few years ago, and I'm honestly scared because what if I don't end up loving it as much as I did when I first read it? That's always one of like the tough realities of rereading a book you once loved, is when you reread it like after a long time and realizing that it's actually not as good as you think it once was. That's really scary, but I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do it because I don't think that will be the case for this book. I cannot wait to reread this year. I don't know when. Again, I feel like this might be more of a summer read if I'm being honest. I don't know why, but it's just not calling to me as of right now. But it might, like, once there's more sunshine outside. Okay, the next book is one that's kind of in the same boat as the Poppy War, meaning that, like, I need to reread this so I can finally finish out the series and read the sequel that goes with it. Orange, the Complete Collection, Volume 1 by Ichigo Takano. This is a manga that I read a few years ago, and I've had the sequel for about 2 years now, and I have not read the sequel because I don't know. I feel like I really have no excuse because, again, this is a book that I read a few years ago, and I got the sequel as a gift, like, a little after I finished reading this. So I don't know why I didn't start it immediately, but because I didn't, I don't remember much about this book. I remember, again, really big important plots and character moments, but I don't remember like much of it. So I feel like I should reread it, especially because I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've been kind of in a manga mood lately. That's rare. So this might be getting done sooner, but I don't know. This is a manga that's kind of a classic in the manga community. Like, if you are a fan of manga, you probably have heard of Orange. It's like one of those staples. Everyone knows of it. Everyone has heard of it. And it is also a very devastatingly sad story that will break your heart. But I don't know, I guess that's just my type of book. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I remember really loving this the first time that I read it. So like I said, there really is no excuse for why I haven't finished out this series. And I think it's only 2. Like, I don't know how many volumes this manga is, but I have like the complete collections, and I think there are only 2 complete collections. So once I finish the second complete collection, that's it. Like, I there's no more to read. I think I need to do that, you know, because, you know, one of my goals this year is finishing series. So let's try to make that a priority, Marina. Let's try. Speaking of finishing series, let's talk about a series that I already finished, but I want to reread the last book of. Percy Jackson and the Last Olympian. Yeah, I know I said I wanted to read Heroes of Olympus this year, and that's still the case. However, I feel like it will be a lot more helpful for my journey in getting into that series reading this before that. Like, I feel like though you can read them as standalone series, you don't need to read Percy Jackson to read Heroes of Olympus, allegedly. That's what people say. I don't know how accurate that is because I have not read Heroes of Olympus. But in my case, where I have read Percy Jackson for the first time, and I know that these characters are going to be in that series as like side characters, I just feel like it would be helpful if I started from the end of the series and then worked my way into the start of the next series, so I can like have something to bounce back off of. If I'm being completely honest, I have not read this book in years. I usually, when I reread the Percy Jackson books, I go back to The Titan's Curse and sometimes Sea of Monsters, but that's only for like the Percabeth moments. So I have not touched the last book in a while. I remember really loving the last book though, but I just haven't reread it, so I feel like this might be fun. So yeah, this is just my gateway into starting the Heroes of Olympus series. I feel like this will be helpful for me. It's also obviously self-indulgent because I just love these characters and I love these books, but I feel like I should definitely reread this. Obviously, if you guys disagree, you can let me know. If you've read Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus, let me know if you think it would be helpful for me to like read the last book before starting the next series. I don't know, I'm just going based off of vibes, and like the series is right behind me, very intimidating, but I think it'd be less intimidating if I just had like a starting place. Okay, the next book is one that you guys know I wanted to reread when I hauled it a few months ago. This is one of my favorite books of all time, one of the books that I feel like even when I wasn't into reading, like back in high school, this book really stuck with me over the years, which is why I wanted to own a copy of it. So I will try to reread it this year because it's one of those like nostalgic reads, though again, not the happiest of reads, but it will be one of those books that like take me back to like the time and place when I read it for the first time and how it made me feel. The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I read this, I think, for required reading in like middle school, or was it high school? I don't remember exactly. I'm pretty sure it was middle school though. I remember being so into this. I don't really know why. because again, it's not that happy of a book, but something about just like the plot and the premise and being able to read a book from Death's perspective, it was just something I've never seen done in a book before. And again, this was when I wasn't really into reading anymore. I read a lot as a kid, and then as I got older, I just not grew out of it, but I got busy with like required reading for school and stuff, and school kind of made me hate reading because of how like it was centered around grades. I couldn't do reading for fun anymore. But this required reading book really helped me see like the joys in reading, and now like sometimes analyzing a book can be fun. I just want to feel that joy again when reading, and this might take me back to that. For those of you guys that don't know, this book follows Liesel. I don't know how to pronounce her name now that I think about it. How's it spelled? It's spelled Liesel. So I'm just gonna say Liesel. She is living in Nazi Germany during the Second World War. This book is narrated by Death. Like I said, he is narrating Liesel's story as she discovers what it is to read and what books are. And while she is stealing books from different places and different people, she is being housed by her foster father. They are also housing a Jewish man who is living in their basement. And like I said, it is World War II. So Nazi Germany, World War II, Jewish man in basement. Not the best combination of things, but it's such like a beautifully tragic tale about books and literature and reading can impact a young person's mind and like help them learn things outside of their perspective, and how not everything is so black and white, especially during a time of war where things are a lot more complex and nuanced than like the media will portray. It's such a good book. It's such a good book. And again, because it's told by Death, specifically Death, who was very busy, as you can see, during like a war going on, the fact that he's taking his time to tell this story specifically, and why he's taking this time to tell this story. You will never see me pick up like a historical fiction book set in like World War II or World War I. It's just not something that I gravitate towards. Not really. But this book, I don't know, Marcus Zusak, he has a golden pen. And again, maybe it won't hold up. Maybe it won't. I haven't read it since I was a literal like 13, 14-year-old. I don't remember much of it, but I just remember how I felt when I read it for the first time. And that's all it really takes for me to want to reread it. It's like if a book can leave that much of an impact on me in any way, shape, or form, I would like to experience that again, even if it's not up to like the same standard as what I felt like all those years ago. Maybe it could bring me a little bit of comfort, you know? So yeah, I think I might want to read this soon. But again, this is a really depressing book. Most of these are. So I don't think I'll be reading any of these like at the same time. I might want to spread these out now that I think about it, so I don't like have an emotional spiral, you know? The last book in this pile that I will be reading this year is one that I actually read last year when it came out. So it hasn't been that long since I read it for the first time, but I do think it should be reread this year due to the movie for it coming out in November. Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. Ooh, goodness gracious. It's crazy that like it's about to become like a year since this book came out, because it came out last March, right? That's crazy. Time is crazy. I remember where I was when I read this, when I opened it up for the first time, and when I finished it. My God, did it mess me up severely. I'm so happy to say that I will be reading it again. Yeah, I'm very excited. Is not the right word. I don't know how I feel going back into this book. Everyone I've talked to about this book, I think we're all in agreement that like this is probably one of the saddest books in the whole series, simply because we know the story of Haymitch. We know the character of Haymitch. We followed him in 3 books prior to his own book. We are familiar with Haymitch and his story, but to actually read it word for word, bar for bar, it really just hit a nerve in the Hunger Games fandom. And I don't think any of us really want to pick up this book again. I don't think any one of us want to like, you know, subject ourselves to this kind of torture unless you're me. I feel like I would like to just reread this book before the movie comes out, just so I can compare the two with as much knowledge and confidence as I can when it comes to like the book itself. Usually when it comes to Hunger Games adaptations, I'm a fan of them. Usually the movies are like 10 out of 10 for me. Even when they're not the most book accurate, I still enjoy the movie. So I'm not really worried about the movie not being exactly like the book, especially when it came to like the casting announcement that was happening a few months ago for it, I was like, oh, okay, so we're actually eating, we're working, we're eating, cool. But I do just want to, like, I don't know, dive back into it before I see it with my own eyes. I feel like watching the movie might disrupt my peace more than reading the book, and that's crazy. But I'm very excited for the movie, and I would like to just read the book just to fester that excitement and get it amped up for the actual movie watching experience, you know? I think I'm gonna need that. You guys know, this book like really did a number on me last year. I read this book around the same time I read Oathbound by Tracy Deonn, because they came out within a week of each other. And so, like, talk about two emotionally damaged characters going through it from beginning to end in their books. It was such a hard time. But I will say for this book, it was like something that I knew going into I was going to be devastated by, because again, I knew the character of Haymitch before going into it, and I knew that his backstory was not going to be a fun ride. None of the Hunger Games books are fun. None of them. You're going to feel devastated at every single one. You're going to cry, you're going to weep, you're going to sob. So I'm expecting nothing less from the reread. I feel like I'm more prepared, obviously, going into it the second time, but still, I don't think I'm emotionally there yet. I might honestly save this book right before the movie comes out, so I might read it like in the last quarter of the year, but we'll just have to see. But this will be getting reread. It will be. That being said, that is it. That is my video. I decided to make a little short video just because I think that's all my throat can handle at the moment, guys. I've been coughing up a storm. I'm so sorry if you can like hear it in my voice. Again, I'm gonna try to edit it out as much as I can, but I thought I should come back with something because the next video is gonna be a monthly wrap up of what I've read in February, and I feel like I just did another wrap up for January, so I think I should just give you guys one more sit down video before a wrap up, which, by the way, spoiler alert, because I've been sick the past few weeks, there are not that many books in that wrap up. Sorry in advance, but I will be talking to you guys about this in the next video, so you're just gonna have to wait it out. If you guys enjoyed this video, thank you. If you are planning to reread any books this year that you are a fan of, let me know in the comments below, or any recommendations that you guys might have. I'm all ears, very open, and yeah, I think that's it. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye everyone.